The National Advancement Party of Canada fights for the Canadian people. And part of that fight entails justice for the Canadian people. The purpose of this video is to clear up any misinformation from the mainstream media in regard to the Red Deer protest. The Red Deer protest was peaceful and focused on obtaining facts about issues involving Syrian refugees at the Lindsey Thurber High School and supporting students and parents from that high school. The protesters, including myself, were a mixed group of Albertans, including a number of immigrants from Mexico, Colombia, and the Middle East. Here are some facts and allegations that the National Advancement Party of Canada issues with the Syrian refugees from poor integration and the soft approach of the school administrators to them.
To freedom. They do. And
Where do you stand on what's happening
at the school, you know, it's hard to say. There's different situations going on. There's a lot of things from outside of the school that are, some information is false, right? So I believe that, yes, every single person should have been punished fairly. I believe that we as a school and as a country and as a city need to work better to integrate.
And do you think that the police were treated
yes, but I do believe that this isn't the first fight. It isn't, sorry. So we do need to take better approaches.
Why? What is it?
They're isolated. They're not, you know, they're not integrating.
Well, how are Muslims supposed to integrate when it says not to in the Quran?
Yes. So
There is sexual groping, stalking, death threats, and gang-like violence occurring at the high school.
Some of the kids are threatening to cut off other students' heads?
Yeah. There's like a Facebook
You've actually
status.
heard that?
Yeah, there's a Facebook status, and the one girl, a mother commented, she's like, my daughter just came to me, said that they've threatened to cut off heads at school, so.
Are these kids, how violent are they? Like, do they carry knives and stuff? Or?
I've never seen it, but I mean, the fact that they whipped out their belts on school property and started whipping my peers, you know, I wouldn't be too surprised.
Did you see it? Or like, were you there? Or?
I saw Facebook videos.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
What about those rumors about like them groping girls and pulling their hair?
Oh yeah.
That's happened?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of groping going on, right?
There is unequal treatment of the Canadian students as compared to the Syrian refugee students.
According to my son, there was an altercation earlier at the skate park. One boy was being harassed by some Syrian boys, and then brought it to school. Then there was an altercation in the morning, and then there was an altercation at lunchtime. And according to my son, the altercation at lunchtime, there were boys fighting, 2 Syrian boys and 1 Canadian boy who was being ganged up on. Then a 3rd boy jumped in. One opened his belt, took his belt off, and was whipping. My son jumped in, grabbed a hold of one of the boys, pulled him out, started fighting with him, and then the rest of the kids just went their way. And then he was recorded on, say, one of these videos stating that he was the one that was in it, and he was the one that was being attacked, and he was the one that was being up. He wasn't the one that was being attacked and beat up. He was the one that stepped in to help the Canadian boy who was being attacked.
And then
by 3 Syrian boys, one who had a belt loop buckle, whipping it like this.
And there's video of it.
Yeah, and my son's not the kind of boy to stand around and watch another boy get beat on like that and not step in and do something. So he stepped in and he did something. He got a 5-day suspension.
What happened to the Syrian kids?
My son texted his friends at school that are in school and asked about the Syrian boys that he was fighting with, not the main 2 that started it. And he said that his friends told him they were back in school a day later.
The school administrators dismissed the sexual groping, death threats, gang-like violence at the school when confronted with evidence.
Sexual groping. So
We have not had a single sexual harassment charge brought to us.
They're afraid to speak up. The women are victims. They're afraid to speak up. They're scared. They're getting death threats online. So how are you going to deal with this?
We would reassurances. You know what we would do is we would encourage them to come in, and we would absolutely deal with it.
They're afraid.
Or they're tell them that they've
been assaulted. They're afraid.
And that's what the message we need to get out is they're absolutely
You got to
protected.
do more.
And so we could only do what we're made aware of. And I would fully agree with you. If there was any of that brought to our attention, it would be dealt with.
We got it on video.
They're scared to
we
bring
got
it
a
to your
student,
attention, so you
female
have to
student
come
on
up with another way
video
of
saying
doing
it's
it.
commonplace now.
What is the
sexual groping.
How do you do?
In contrast, here's what the mainstream media reported. The CTV portrayed the Red Deer protest as a hateful, anti-immigrant protest, and that there were no significant issues at the high school.
Concerned about the accommodation going on in Canada for people coming into our country and the political correctness.
Activist Junaid Jahangir says protests like these set a dangerous tone.
They're not interested in doing that hard work. They're more interested in venting their frustration and anger. And what that leads to is that makes other communities feel unsafe. And that hate transfers to more hate, and it only makes things worse.
Only a handful of protesters identified themselves as parents. Most represented an anti-immigration group. School officials told the crowd all 8 students involved received the same 5-day suspension.
That it wasn't dealt with equally and it wasn't dealt with the same, and that is incorrect.
School officials now working with students to clear up the misinformation. As for Khan, she wasn't alone in spreading her message of peace. Thomas Gower held this sign in solidarity, with one message for refugees.
You've got a friend with me.
The CBC portrayed the Red Deer protest as angry and Islamophobic, and misrepresented me by inaccurately tying my comments to all Muslims, and thereby subtly implying I am a racist. And it failed to show the female students' statements on sexual groping, death threats, etc. Also, it failed to show the parents' statements on unequal treatment.
A not so typical morning at Lindsey Thurber High. Police, media, protesters.
We shouldn't be accommodating people coming in our country. We need to be standing up for our values, who we are as a people, as a country, our heritage.
Stephen Garvey drove from Calgary to stand in front of the school and toss allegations that Muslim boys are violent, grope girls in the hallway, and threaten to cut people's heads off. It started last week with a schoolyard fight. Someone posted a video of it on an anti-immigration Facebook page. The caption, that the Muslim students were whipping other students, but escaped punishment because they were acting within their religious rights. All of that was completely untrue.
The students were dealt with fairly, they were dealt with equally.
Global News had the fairest coverage of the 3, though it still had an anti-immigrant spin.
A fight between students last week led to a protest in front of Lindsey Thurber High School in Red Deer this morning. The fight involved Syrian and Canadian students, and a video of it was posted to Facebook with a claim that the Syrian kids didn't face any discipline. Principal of the school says every student involved was disciplined, but around 40 anti-immigration protesters still picketed outside the school.
We're concerned about our students, our Canadian students, and we want to make sure they're in a safe environment and they're being treated fairly.
As do we.
And equally.
What is not true is that people were dealt with in different ways. But, you know, if you threw a punch or you kicked or you hit, you were suspended.
More about what really occurred at the Red Deer protest and the issues at Lindsey Thurber High School, please see our live video feeds on our Facebook page, National Advancement, or on our YouTube page, National Advancement Party of Canada.